Vine, who is an art critic, a writer, and Richard and Nana have known each other since you arrived here, which was a couple of months ago, and have spoken and developed, a lot of ideas, and so we thought it would be a great project to bring you together so that you can share your ideas with us. So thank you so much, both of you, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Nana and I originally bonded over gin and tonic at the Met, which is reminds me of the way the art world used to be. So, like you, I'm sort of intrigued by what's going on up here in the video. But before we get to that, in order to give it a context, I thought I'd just ask Nana to talk about her background. I mean, specifically, where were you born? Did you come from an artistic family? What kind of school did you go to? All of that.
Okay. So I came from Japan. And until last year I stayed in Barcelona. But yeah, it's 1 year and a half. And I started practicing calligraphy around the age of 8, and I was also playing the piano at the same time. So I think my childhood experiences were influenced by music, almost. And when I was university, I studied design. But I was always thinking about new interpretations of calligraphy, but I didn't.
Was that graphic design? Or?
Yeah, graphic design and videos, like commercial.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Music videos?
Yes, I made music videos and dance video, music video with dancer, and I made some commercial or something. So already time was a factor in your work. Yes, it's more.
As we're going to see more of.
Yeah, this video spent a time for 40 minutes, but when I was student, it's like only 30 seconds or 1 minute, very short time movies. Every time I made. So.
And then you mentioned Barcelona. That was also a residency program?
Yes, I have a residency program. It's the name is avant-garde. It's a residency program. I went 6 months, and it was very good experience for me. Like more, it's about the time. It's more huge perspective than during I stay in Tokyo. It's more relaxed and can spend.
Barcelona is more relaxed than Tokyo.
Yes.
And what about New York? Where does it fall on that spectrum?
Yeah.
All right. So maybe you can tell us what we're seeing here and show what exactly are we seeing?
It's I'm showing few pieces. So the first I made this kind of drawing on the ink on paper. But this work is I try to make more focuses on time. So this video has 3 layers, and it was like live drawing. One layer is live drawing, and another layer is past I made 1 day before. So, and when I live performance, like 2つにしてたんだっけ
Combined.
combined, yeah, like combined two kind of time. Like, yeah. So,
Yeah, let's just communicate something very basic. You see those numbers,
yes,
which indicate what?
the numbers
Yes.
meaning
Yes.
is it's the time when I write the line.
Mhm.
So the line was measured by stopwatch
Right.
from start to
Right.
its point to point.
So the numbers indicate the number of seconds that it took you to draw
Yes.
that line. And there are basically two types, the thin and swift, and the broad and mushy and slower
Yes.
lines, right? And why are they so mushy?
Moshi.
Spread out before.
It's some spread since the ink has a lot of water,
Hmm.
and yeah, so
Right.
the spread or not, it depends on the ink condition and how much water does ink have,
Mhm. Right. So-
and how much time does I use. If
Right.
I use a lot of time, it's spread.
Yeah, so what I'm calling the mushy forms are more diluted, the ink is more diluted, and you take longer
Yes.
to make the mark.
Yes.
Right.
And some slowly or very fast movie is a past one. It means the past movie can control. Past can control. So the present me was influenced by past movie. So yeah.
So when you set out to make a drawing, whether it's a small one like we see on the wall or a big one on the floor, do you set yourself a time limit? Do you say, I'm going to make this in 10 minutes, or
Yes.
you do?
It's not decided like 10 minutes, but feel like my feeling is I will spend the time a lot, or
Mhm. So it could change in the process? I mean,
Yeah.
you could decide, oh, I'm going to go longer because...
yes.
Um, yeah. And then behind it you have a grid, which I think kind of pretends to be systematic. You were telling me about one square equaling 1 second or whatever.
So this movie is one grid is 20 centimeter, but here it's in inch. I don't know the 20 centimeter in inch, but it's okay. Yeah. So I accepted as I was assumption. Oh, no.
You were what?
I decided 20 centimeter is 1 second.
Oh.
So the grid meaning is 1 second grid
Mhm.
in the screen. So those artworks is my experiment.
Mhm.
Many kind of time include many kind of time in same screen. So this mean is grid, time of grid. I decided 20 second is 20 centimeters is 1 second. And another time is social time. It's measured it's for example, it's 101671 means 1 minute 60 second 71 I spent. And the third time meaning is when I draw one line, it means one. So
Yeah. When we were talking earlier, I sort of compared it to to watching a movie where you ordinarily have maybe 3 time frames simultaneously. You have the actual mechanical running time of the film, 95 minutes or whatever. But then you have the depicted time, which could be, a week is portrayed in the story. And then you have psychological time. If it's a boring movie, it seems to go on forever. If it's an exciting movie, you have a sense that time is going very quickly. And all of those factors come into play here as well. And another thing to note is that even though we have the times that it took to draw each of the lines, adding those numbers up does not tell you how long it took to make the drawing, because they don't account for the pauses in between. And the pauses in between are very important for you, and traditionally in Japanese culture, you have this notion of mu.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit of mu?
Mu.
Mu.
Oh, the mu is...
Mu. M-U.
Mu. Mu is nothing, right?
Okay.
Hmm? Mother.
Ma. Sorry.
Ma. Yeah. Ma is, the ma is very important thinking of Japanese tradition, culture.
Mm-hmm.
So, the ma in Asian calligraphy often said like blank space is blank is space, and like universe. So I can yeah. But ma is.
Well, it's a kind of emptiness, right?
Emptiness.
In both space and time in traditional East Asian composition.
Yeah.
If you think of many classical Chinese landscapes or whatever, you very often have these areas that are empty. And it's a bit paradoxical because on the one hand, there's nothing. And on the other hand, a great deal is implied by that emptiness. The cycles of nature, the passage of long periods of time, a sense of the earth enduring, all sort of mysteriously combined in that sense of space and emptiness.
Also, the ma is I changed my thinking of ma is grid in my artwork.
Is the grid?
Yeah, it's the grid. The initial inspiration came from the way how to practice calligraphy. The Chinese characters has basically, no, not Chinese character, every character has basically vertical and horizontal. And to become aware of this, practice involves folding paper vertically and horizontally to create grids for writing. Yeah, so with continuous practice, one naturally becomes aware of the vertical and horizontal. While creating my work, I realized there was an invisible grid in the space before I used grid, which I also saw the representing time, so I used grid to explain both time and space.
Okay. Asian calligraphy and some Asian painting also has a performative element sometimes. I mean, you have the final product, and as you've noted, when you look at the final product, you have the impression that you can tell how quickly the characters were made or how quickly the scene was painted. And that relates to the notion of the flow of cosmic energy, of chi going through the body and the brush. But you also have the physical creation of the work. And sometimes calligraphers or certain kinds of artists will do live demonstrations. And that's so it presents an interesting kind of metaphysical question. Finally, what is the artwork? I mean, is the artwork the drawing? Is the artwork the process of drawing? Or is the artwork the idea of the drawing?
For me, it's process of drawing.
It's the process for you.
Because that's why I made like kind of this, and also I made another artwork with, like I shown the process, how to make one line. With, it's the work. The work is usually one drawing drawn by one people, but the artwork made by two people in performance. I was performance last year.
Okay.
So it's the process artwork. I wanted to show process, how to make one line. So I made one line by two people. So it's very difficult for me how to make it include performance, but it's not performance. Like the form.
To come at it from a different angle altogether, let's say I'm a vulgar American collector and I want to buy this work. How do I buy the process? If the work of art is the process, how do I take it home with me as a purchaser?
How?
Well, I think. I think you give some clues with the once someone understands what the numbers represent and the business about the dilution of the ink and the relative speed of the lines, the process then becomes comprehensible. Understandable. Someone can understand mark by mark how you made this work.
Yeah.
Although I guess they don't know which mark you made first and which you made second.
Oh. It is not important for me, but it's more important of my artwork is how much time and how many kind of time includes on the same screen. So, but it's the traditional calligraphy. It's very important. How does it make, like the from where to second? Where is the second part? Where is the third part?
Yeah.
The people can imagine. People can understand when they see the one character, because we can image like the move or brush. But my artwork is more, it's a deconstruct of calligraphy, and I want to explain everything, like how much time I spend, what I'm making, what I'm drawing, and I draw one is the most smallest number and language. And about the space, I made a grid. It's a space that this space has each 1 second. The grid is each 1 second. So, my work it's more. It has more distance. It has distance of traditional one, but the basement it has traditional way.
Yeah, I think in the West we're very accustomed to thinking about how forms relate to each other in a composition and how colors relate to each other in a composition. We're not so accustomed to thinking about how time or the time of fabrication interplays in the creation of an image. But we have a parallel in music where, you have whole notes and you have 16th notes and you have adagio passages and you have very slow passages. That's an art form where time is of the essence in the very structure of the work as well as the listener's experience. In Japan, you have a tradition of theater that's often based on very slow movements.
Yeah, like kabuki or...
Yeah. And
I think... for me, I didn't think of it. I don't have this way, but it's, I realized about this when last year my friend of Barcelona asked me about meditation, but I think Japanese people, the meditation is not often common.
No?
Way, I think. By few people, of course, do this. But sometimes when I draw one line, sometimes I spend only this one line, 30 minutes or 40 minutes. It's my feeling is, I realized it was meditation. I saw only one point, and it doesn't move, but it moves a little bit. 30 minutes, so this way is kind of meditation, I think, but I just realized about that. So you say about slow movement is, we the Japanese people has this kind of thinking in before it's
well, I think at least in part in those forms of theater, in part it has to do with conveying the beauty of the gesture. The gesture is performed very slowly so that the audience can contemplate it in its duration. And here in the West, we've had this phenomenon of endurance performance. Certain artists who would lock themselves in rooms or tie themselves together for a year. but endurance performance always has a certain edge of masochism. There's a certain amount of suffering that's implied in an endurance performance. I don't get the sense that you are suffering, even though you might be making a line, taking 30 minutes to make a line that's 4 inches long.
Yeah.
What is the psychological process for you while you're doing this?
Psychological process is the ancient calligraphy is cracked stone, so can think the black line could be think of shadow. So, like when I draw the line, my feeling is more. I went more deeply place, it's under the under the floor.
So, how much formal training in calligraphy lies behind this? Did you spend a lot of time in formal training?
Yes, from 8 years old, then I think 16 or 8 years. Spent the time a lot. Yes, because I really liked to practice calligraphy. It's just my time. I can use all of time for me.
Right.
But it's more technical. It's it's to use the brush to use very well, and copy the ancient characters.
Right. Well, I know there's another concept you've talked about, and I won't try to pronounce it, but it's like a 3-part process of learning, where you begin with the rules and following the rules and the traditions very strictly, and then you move on to making slight variations, and then there's a third stage where you are essentially liberated to try to make. What is that expression?
The shuhari is in Japanese, like Japanese tea ceremony and material arts, like kendo. There is a concept called shuhari. Shu means to adhere or protect. It involves faithfully adhering to forms and techniques, mastering them completely. And ha means to break or detach. It involves contemplating teaching from other masters or schools, incorporating what is valuable and evaluating one's skills. And li means to leave or transcend. It involves departing from a school or tradition to establish something new and unique. Yes. That's my practice is right now. I still studying, like shu is protect, but I'm still studying about traditional calligraphy. But in my artwork, I try to make like and ha and ri. It's broke, and ri means leave. And all time
I know you mentioned another concept that's related. Is it do?
Do is do is a like calligraphy, Asian calligraphy called shodo. Is a calligraphy, lord of calligraphy, like, and tea ceremony is same. It's tea ceremony called sado. Is the do, I think it's very similar to shuhari, but
But it's also applied to other things like aikado and...
It's a do. Do means like more. I think it's contain like meditation feeling and shuhari meaning, like more like very typical Japanese thinking, feeling. So, but yeah.
Well, I think we should not feel too bad about our puzzlement over time. It has defeated the best of minds. Remember, St. Augustine in his Confessions said, I feel I know what time is until someone asks me. And the answer that he ultimately came up with was to sort of equate time with change. If there were no change, there would be no time. And the only changelessness in the cosmos for him was the divine, was God. All the rest of us are subject to change and to time.
What is different with about time between Japanese thinking and American thinking? Because I stayed here. Like now, I stayed only 4 months, so I still not understand about the time in America. Yes.
Well, there are national differences. There are historical differences. I mean, in agrarian society, your notion of time was, built on the seasons, and the rising and the setting of the sun each day. These kind of extended periods with nuances along the way. But with the Industrial Revolution, time became very segmented, and you have the things like what was his name, Taylor, who did work motion studies for Henry Ford and others, so that the people on the factory floor and on the assembly line would not waste a single second or a single motion as they were putting together their Model Ts. So human beings really became the slave of time in these situations. And now we have the digital world, and I'm not sure what kind of time the digital world purports.
This artwork is about digital, influenced by digital world.
Oh.
Because it's, for example, the internet or TV or some shows or something. It's everything can control. The information can be controlled by someone. So these artworks, I say that, but they have two kinds of time, past and present. Present time and past time. And past time was controlled before I performed. And so it was influenced by, it's a digital world.
Yeah.
It's all time influenced by past things and made,
As someone who recently retired, I can tell you there is no greater freedom than control of one's own time. And conversely, no greater unfreedom than having someone else control your time. So artists have always been rather fortunate in that regard. So maybe we should open up to see if there are questions from people here.
I'm curious about how you, the time, is that the time that you, 0, 1, 3, 6, 7, 9, what is that?
it's a 1 second.
Oh, it's the 1
No, 1 minute.
1 minute, 36
Right.
seconds.
So for every square, you put the number of seconds or time that you,
Sorry, one more time, please. Every second.
right, so how do you calculate the time?
It's another people calculate the time when I draw one line. And it's those artworks made calculated by me, but this is
This means it took 1 minute and 36 seconds
Okay.
yes,
for her to draw this line.
So I was thinking of Onkawaha.
yeah,
Onkawaha.
yeah, yes,
I don't know how you say it in Japanese, but there's a kind of some kind of relationship with time as well.
Hmm.
When you would send his postcards every day
yes,
and with the exact time. So I don't know, that's kind of the notion of time, as Richard was saying, it's thought of in a different way. But I was just thinking of Onkawaha.
it's kind of, I think, but it's
different. But
It's
he was
different.
Also very specific in terms of what time he would send the postcard, the day. So I'm just thinking.
it's my work is like influenced by more traditional Japanese calligraphy. So it's when we see some characters, like the artworks, not one calligraphy works,
Right.
we can image how much it's. We can't understand exactly how many times does the artist use. But about this, I want to explain about this. I want to explain how much time does I use.
I get it.
So that's why
Yeah, it's kind of curious that we at least think of Japanese traditional culture as being rather meditative, and the artist as sage and all of that. But when performance came to Japan, it sort of came in the form of gutai, which was people wallowing around in the mud and punching the canvas of a painting and breaking through paper doorways, which is a very eruptive introduction to the idea of performance. Yours, I think, we would say is more of the meditative sort.
So I made this that's kind of performance artwork because I'm not performer. I just what is drawing, what is expression of ancient human. So I'm planning one exhibition next month. So I will try to explain with sound artwork and some ceramic artworks with another artist. It's more, I try to more deeply explain about what is expression of human, ancient human moving or way or something. So
And that will be in Manhattan or where?
in Manhattan, in SoHo. So,
SoHo.
yeah.
What's the name of the gallery?
It's gallery, but it's just a place.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
my project. So the first time I will do curator with. Yeah.
So everyone should come.
It's not necessarily a question, but I'm curious, to ask about, if you can talk a little bit about this idea of vertical and horizontal, because when you are talking about your work and time and measuring distance, seemingly it's I don't know, it's like a linear, horizontal, but when you talked about, when Richard asked you about the process and you talked about the ancient calligraphy when he started as a stone carving, and also when you're saying you're drawing a line, it's 30 minutes, you think about going deep into a floor. That's my understanding. I'm not sure if I understand it correctly. So for me, it seems really interesting, almost like it's a parallel of vertical and horizontal, horizontal line, time, or the time in terms of horizontal time and also vertical time, and also in terms of the space as horizontal and vertical. And I'm not sure, so I just wonder, when you are doing this slow motion and you're saying you are going deep into whatever you're doing, and what you're thinking, and then and also even when you're layering this 3 different layers of time, there's also X. So can you talk a little bit more about this idea of layering and going deep into
it's almost of the idea came from constellation, the constellation made by ancient people, and the ancient human decided each stars on the same flat screen, and they connect one very simple line, but they have a different time. It's very different time, but about constellation of human, not human. Constellation made by human is like just drawing. So yeah, my idea came from that. Everything think like a constellation, and connect with everything, but they have each different time, and it's very complicated. So that's why I need many kind of perspective, deeply thinking, or time, or another perspective, and dimension, or horizontal, It's so still I'm thinking about new, it's not new, but another expression about, it's not calligraphy, but it's kind of calligraphy way. So yeah, it's right now it's my thinking is very separate, but they were included at the same time right now.
So are these compositions strictly 2D, 2 dimensions? Or do you see do you see depth when you're creating these?
It's 3 dimensions.
It's 3.
It's 3. No, it's not. It's true. The calligraphy, the Asian calligraphy, often said it has 3 dimensions or more because white, blank is a space, and like, yeah, it looks like 2 dimensions, but they say it's not 2 dimensions. It's a space.
Okay. Yeah.
It kind of makes sense though, because when you write calligraphy, like the movement is not only just like one layer, it's also like you dip in and then you lift it, and then there's a vertical movement of writing Chinese calligraphy as well.
Yes, exactly.
Am I right to assume that the marks themselves don't carry meaning? Like in traditional, the kanji formed a pictogram that conveyed a meaning?
Yeah.
There's no particular meaning to the shape itself.
My artwork.
The mark you like,
In
what
your
you
work.
describe as the mushy mark.
It's for me is those line meaning one, just one line. Yeah, it's when I made this when I started this project, I wanted to totally separate traditional way, but I couldn't separate only one things. Like I didn't write abstract things. It looks like very abstract. Often many people say it's abstract artwork, but for me it's not abstract. Yeah. It's because one line I draw one language, the character one, and everything calculated,
Calculated?
measured,
Yes.
everything measured,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
And
Well, are the compositions preconceived? I mean, when you go and make the first mark, do you already know what the next 3, 4 marks are going to be, or does that develop as you do it? As you do it. Okay.
The formal choices that I really love are that you chose to use like Indo-Arabic numerals and included the milliseconds. And that the people that are making the marks are dressed in black. And in English, there's this wordplay between character, which means that the letter they're doing is character like a play. And I like how when I'm watching this, they seem like kanji too. The thing that I'm interested in my own work that I resonate here is this balance between the reverence, meditative silence that Richard defined in No theater in the Japanese culture, and then the absurd that I see in Japanese culture in kabuki, and the kind of silliness and almost slapstick. Does any of that resonate? Could you talk about, like the French talk about mise en abîme? Do you think of the absurd? I mean, there's some absurd decisions.
no.
You don't think about that?
Yeah. It's for me it's I wanted to just explain everything, like how much time, where is space, what is space. I decide everything like this on this paper. I made grid like a god. It's not god, but I decide the grid meaning each 1 second, and yeah.
Like Richard talked about the meditation feeling of your work, and I was like giving me a feeling that the Zen garden read about it, they're having monks swapping the sand to form the, I just looked it up, it's called like constellations. This kind of thing. And I know, like, I read something like they're like also like swapping it in like a really slow motion, and also to create different kinds of pattern, and like it's a way of like not sitting there, but like through the swapping they meditate, and they're also on the floor. So I'm thinking about whether your work is like having because like I wrote Chinese calligraphy as well, and like some certain like the one you draw in the middle, this kind of shade, it is not like happening a lot in Chinese calligraphy recently, but only in pretty Asian like the Qing Dynasty calligraphy thing. So like I'm curious about like the shape or the pattern also on the floor thing, whether it's connected to the same garden like monks wrapping is the same thing.
Wow. Well, thank you, but I didn't think about it. Wow. It's for me. It's my next step. The next project is I want to connect with another culture, like, for example, another culture like Latin American culture or African culture or another Asian, another Europe culture. I believe, I hope to find the same expression as a human in basement. In basement? Or base? Basic.
Basic? Same basic?
Some basically.
Okay.
So before culture, before being culture, like more ancient expression. It's like a rhizome. It's everything connect with something. So it's my purpose to make another expression. So
would you ever be tempted to do figurative work or representational painting? Pictures that look like a tabletop or represent. No, never.
Another time. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's our time. Thank you. Thank you. See, that wasn't bad.